My name is Ivan, aged 42, and I've been working on oil consultancy contracts in Kuwait for the past 8 months. The message arrived at 3 a.m. local time as I was completing equipment checks at the drilling site. Patricia sent it at 7 p.m. Dallas time, precisely when she knew I'd be finishing my shift. The previous text still glared from my phone screen. I'm leaving you for someone younger and taking all we have. Enjoy solitude and poverty. I stood under the stark floodlights of the oil rig, staring at those words for a long moment. 2 decades of marriage, and this was her chosen method to end it. Not a call. Not even waiting for my return next month. Just a text and an emptied bank account. My hands stayed steady as I replied with 4 words. I'd sensed something like this coming for months. The clues were evident. Her avoidance of my video calls. The growing distance during my last visit home. The subtle shifts in her tone when discussing finances and our future. Patricia had always been frustrated with my work schedule, but recently, her resentment had become overt. I returned to my trailer and checked our joint account on my phone. 0 balance. All $40,000 gone. She transferred it out that afternoon while I was underground monitoring pressure gauges. The timing was no accident. She knew my routine better than anyone. What Patricia didn't know was that the $40,000 was only our household account, used for mortgage payments, utilities, and credit card bills. I'd set it up deliberately to manage personal expenses, keeping my business finances entirely separate. I opened my laptop and logged into Veltri Dynamics, the limited liability company I'd formed 3 years prior. The business account displayed $297,000 in retained earnings, plus $150,000 in equipment and active contracts. Funds Patricia never saw because they existed in a separate financial realm. My phone vibrated repeatedly, then rang. Patricia was calling. I let it go to voicemail, watching the missed calls pile up. By the time I showered and ate, she'd called 17 times. The urgency in that pattern suggested she'd checked the joint account and seen the overdraft fees accumulating. I met Patricia 22 years ago at an engineering conference in Houston. She was an administrative assistant for a petrochemical firm, and I was a junior field engineer trying to establish myself. Back then, I believed her interest in my career was genuine passion for the work. Our early years were solid. I advanced from field engineer to project manager to operations director, and Patricia appreciated the steady salary increases and improved benefits. We bought a home in Plano, vacationed in Colorado and Florida, and discussed starting a family that never came to fruition when I went independent 5 years ago. Patricia publicly endorsed my decision but privately doubted it. Why abandon a stable income for such uncertainty? She'd ask whenever a contract took longer to finalize. Her questions grew sharper when I began taking overseas jobs. "You're gone half the year," she'd say. "What's the point of marriage if I barely see you?" I understood her irritation, but international work paid triple what domestic jobs offered. One 8-month stint in Kuwait or Saudi Arabia equaled 2 years' earnings back home. The strategy was clear. Work hard now, grow the business, and shift to domestic consulting within 5 years. That's when I noticed the red flags. Patricia always managed our personal finances, but she started probing into the business side, asking about contract values, profit margins, and cash flow in ways that felt more strategic than curious. When I explained that business funds stayed separate, she grew irritated. "We're married," she'd argue. "What's yours is mine, isn't it?" I'd begun keeping the business structure distinct after a discussion with my lawyer 3 years ago. He'd seen too many contractors lose everything in divorces due to mingled personal and business assets. "Your wife seems pleasant," he'd said over lunch. "But 1 in 5 marriages ends in divorce, and that rises when significant money is involved. Safeguard yourself." So I did. Veltri Dynamics became a standalone entity with its own accounts, credit lines, and legal protections. Patricia knew about the company but never cared about its paperwork or bank statements. Last Christmas, I overheard her talking to her sister. "Ivan's doing well," she said. "The overseas contracts are paying off. We'll have choices soon." The way she said choices lingered in my mind. Now I understood. The 57th missed call came at sunrise. I was on the platform's observation deck, watching dawn break over the Kuwaiti desert, when Patricia left a voicemail that wasn't just angry breathing or stifled sobs. "Ivan, answer the phone. There's a mix-up with the bank account. Payments are failing and I'm getting overdraft charges. I don't know what's happening. A mix-up." That's what she called it. I checked the joint account's transaction history. Patricia had moved the entire balance to a new account at another bank on Tuesday afternoon, an account I didn't recognize, meaning she'd opened it secretly. But she'd left all automatic payments active: mortgage, utilities, insurance, credit card minimums. When those tried to clear on Thursday and Friday, they hit an empty account, each triggering a $35 overdraft fee. By my estimate, she owed $420 in fees alone, plus penalties from creditors for bounced payments. The irony was sharp. Patricia had taken the exact funds needed for our bills, then acted shocked when her theft caused financial chaos. But the real insight came from her earlier texts. The sequence revealed everything. Normal messages Tuesday morning about my schedule, sudden silence Tuesday afternoon, the breakup text and account drain Wednesday evening, and frantic calls starting Thursday. She'd spent Tuesday figuring out how to access the joint account online. The bank's security logs showed multiple failed login attempts before successful transfers. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment betrayal. It was calculated. What Patricia hadn't anticipated was the corporate structure shielding my true assets. She'd stolen $40,000 in household funds while missing the $300,000 in business accounts she couldn't access. I called my Dallas attorney. "Ivan, I've been waiting for this call for 2 years," he said when I explained. "Your wife just learned the hard way about personal versus business assets. Your exposure, zero. Veltri Dynamics is a separate entity. She can't touch it in a divorce unless she proves you hid marital assets to dodge community property laws. Since you set up the company before any marital issues surfaced, you're safe." I gazed at the drilling platform, where men worked grueling shifts in 100-degree heat to pull wealth from the desert. Honest labor, tough labor. "What about the joint account theft?" I asked. "That's a separate issue, likely criminal," he replied. I smiled for the first time in days. When I called Patricia back, it was through my company's legal team. "Mr. Kellerman cannot communicate directly due to the legal ramifications of your unauthorized withdrawal from joint accounts," my attorney's assistant told her. "All contact must go through counsel," Patricia erupted. "Legal ramifications? He's my husband. I had every right to that money." The assistant, calm and professional, responded, "Ma'am, removing funds from a joint account while leaving active payments constitutes check fraud under Texas law. The bank has already reported the bounced payments to authorities." I listened from my Kuwait trailer via an encrypted conference line. Hearing Patricia's voice break with panic felt like justice, but I wasn't finished. "I want to talk to Ivan now," she demanded. "Mr. Kellerman is overseas on business. His legal team will handle matters related to the account theft and resulting fraud charges." "Theft? Fraud? Are you out of your minds? It's my money too. Ma'am, taking funds while knowingly leaving automatic payments unpaid shows intent to defraud creditors. The bank's fraud department has notified the affected companies." Patricia's first major mistake came then. "Those aren't my payments. Ivan handles the bills. I don't know what's due when." The assistant noted every word. Patricia had just admitted to taking money she knew was for household expenses while claiming ignorance of the obligations. Legally, she'd confessed to intentional theft of designated funds. "I understand your stance, ma'am," the assistant continued. "Mr. Kellerman's attorney will determine if criminal charges are warranted, given your admission to taking funds meant for bill payments while denying knowledge of those obligations." Silence hung for 30 seconds. "Criminal charges?" Patricia whispered. "Theft of funds for specific purposes, especially when it causes bounced payments, can qualify as wire fraud under federal law. The FBI investigates electronic transfers across state lines." I almost pitied her. "Almost? What do you want?" she asked softly. "Mr. Kellerman requests the immediate return of the stolen funds, coverage of all overdraft fees and penalties, and agreement to dissolve the marriage through mediation, not a contested divorce." "I can't return the money." "Why not?" "I've already spent some of it." The assistant glanced at her notes. Patricia had admitted to spending stolen funds. "How much remains?" "Maybe $15,000. She'd burned through $25,000 in days. My attorney had warned me about revenge spending in divorces, especially when someone feels entitled to money they're about to lose. "Ma'am, Mr. Kellerman's attorney will need a full accounting of how marital funds were used, including receipts, transaction records, and explanations." "This is harassment," Patricia snapped. "No, ma'am, this is documentation for potential criminal charges. Spending marital funds on non-marital purposes constitutes waste of assets under Texas law, compounding the theft charges." After she hung up, my attorney rejoined. She's panicking and has made admissions that strengthen your case. The question is whether she realizes how much trouble she's in. What about her boyfriend? I asked. She said she's leaving me for someone younger. If she spent marital funds on him, that's adultery plus waste of assets. In Texas, that's grounds for a fault-based divorce that could leave her with nothing. The private investigator's report arrived 2 days later. Patricia had been involved with a 29-year-old personal trainer, Derek Collins, for 8 months. They met at the gym she joined when I started the Kuwait contract, progressing from workouts to hotel meetups to weekend getaways while I was abroad. The financials told the story. $4,000 on lingerie and department store purchases in the last month. $3,000 on a San Antonio weekend with a luxury hotel and fine dining, plus a new phone, laptop, and an expensive watch. Derek wasn't just her lover, he was her escape plan. The investigator said Patricia had told gym friends she'd soon have significant divorce settlement money from my overseas contracts. Derek had been keenly interested in those finances. Your wife thought she was leaving for a wealthy lifestyle, the investigator explained. She believed your business income was marital property, entitling her to half. Photos showed Patricia's car at Derek's apartment, the two coming and going, her carrying shopping bags and looking happier than I'd seen in years. They've been planning this for months, the investigator said. Derek quit his gym job 2 weeks ago, telling people he wouldn't need to work soon because his girlfriend was getting a big divorce payout. I nearly laughed. Patricia stole $40,000 thinking it was trivial, while promising Derek access to $300,000 she couldn't touch. Do they know about the business accounts? I asked. No. Patricia thinks she took your savings, and Derek believes she'll get hundreds of thousands more. The investigator added, Derek has debts, credit cards, a delinquent car loan, and money owed to non-bank creditors. What kind? The kind who don't wait patiently. It was clear. Derek saw Patricia as his financial rescue, and she saw him as her way out of a marriage she'd grown tired of. Both banked on money they couldn't legally access. What happens when they realize? I asked. Given Derek's debts and his creditors, that'll be a rough talk. I thanked him and closed my laptop. Outside, the oil platform buzzed with activity, men earning honest wages, building something real, not scheming to steal from those who trusted them. The criminal charges hit first. During a production meeting, my attorney called. The Dallas County DA had filed felony theft charges against Patricia, with local and federal prosecutors interested due to the check fraud and wire fraud from the transfers. She's been arrested, he said, this morning at her boyfriend's apartment. Derek was about to learn his supposed benefactor was a criminal defendant. The timing was perfect. Patricia had bragged about a big divorce settlement, but now she was in jail, unable to post $15,000 bail because she'd spent the stolen money. What about Derek? I asked. His apartment's 3 months behind on rent. The landlord filed for eviction yesterday. I calculated. Derek quit his job expecting Patricia's divorce money. She was arrested for stealing funds she thought were minor. He faced eviction and she couldn't help from jail. Has he tried posting her bail? He doesn't have $15,000. Only her sister called about bail and hung up when she heard the amount. The justice felt precise. Patricia betrayed me for a man who couldn't even free her from jail. She'd stolen to fund a relationship with someone financially desperate, and both faced the fallout of their lies. Next steps? I asked. Divorce papers are being served today. Since she's in custody, the jail will handle it. I checked Veltri Dynamics accounts. 2 new contracts had come in, one from Abu Dhabi, another from Nigeria, worth $400,000 over 18 months. Patricia stole $40,000 and landed in jail. My business, meanwhile, thrived. There's more, my attorney said. Derek's creditors are pressuring him. Word's out that his wealthy girlfriend is a criminal defendant. Meaning, some of those creditors don't use legal collections. I pictured Derek fleeing Dallas, owing rent and thousands to impatient lenders, and Patricia in jail, her dreams of wealth shattered. The call came 6 weeks later during drilling reports. Ivan, please help me, Patricia pleaded, her voice frail, the arrogance worn down by jail. The prosecutor wants a guilty plea to federal charges. My public defender says I could get 2 years. I heard. Derek won't answer, his phone's off. I wasn't shocked. My investigator said Derek fled Dallas after creditors threatened him. Promising repayment with non-existent divorce money didn't work when his girlfriend was a federal defendant. Ivan, I was wrong, stupid. I thought I deserved half your earnings. You thought you could steal them. It wasn't stealing, we're married. I thought it was ours. The business accounts were never ours, Patricia, they're corporate assets. You took household funds and left our bills unpaid. Silence lingered. What do you want? She asked. Nothing. You've given me everything I need. I don't understand. I closed my laptop and looked at the platform, men working honest shifts, creating value through skill and effort. You taught me to protect what I've built as much as I build it. You showed me some see others' success as their entitlement, and you proved my legal protections work. Ivan, please, I'll do anything. The divorce papers were filed yesterday. You'll get nothing but your personal items. The house will be sold to cover your debts. Your legal fees are yours. But I have no money, no job. Derek's gone. I have nothing. You have what you gave me, Patricia. Nothing. 3 months later, I was in Dallas for a day between contracts. The house sold quickly, despite legal hurdles. After paying the mortgage and Patricia's debts, no equity remained. Her theft consumed 20 years of shared savings. I drove by Derek's old apartment. His eviction notice still hung, faded by the sun. He'd fled to Oklahoma, owing rent and thousands to creditors. Patricia was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison, followed by 2 years probation and full restitution. Her sister stopped taking her calls after she begged for attorney funds. I signed the final divorce papers at my attorney's office, feeling only relief. She'll be out in 14 months with good behavior, he said, but with a federal conviction and legal debts. And Derek, still gone. Collection agencies are after him, but he's hard to find. That evening, I flew back to Kuwait for another 8-month stint. Veltri Dynamics secured 3 new contracts worth over $500,000. Patricia's $40,000 theft cost her everything. Derek fled from creditors who wouldn't forget his debts. Both learned that a future built on lies and theft unravels faster than the lies themselves. Patricia faced federal prosecution, serving 18 months while Derek vanished, dodging creditors with no patience for his empty promises. Her conviction ruined her employability, and her betrayal alienated her family, disgusted by her actions' fallout. Derek's flight from Dallas meant abandoning his life to escape debts, and a ruined reputation in a city that knew he'd planned to live off stolen funds from a woman who couldn't deliver. I learned that business success demands protecting assets not just from market risks, but from those who view your achievements as their right, and that the smartest investment is in legal safeguards, preserving what you've earned through dedication and hard work.